The Institute for Economic Justice and the hashtag Pay the Grants have launched a legal battle over the 350 social relief of distress grant. The two lobby groups say the Department of Social Development has excluded most of the people that qualify for the grant. Joining us to speak more about this is Siyabulela Mama from the Cry of the Excluded. Siyabulela, thank you so much for joining us this Friday night on News at Prime. Now, you say you feel the 350 social relief grant is a betrayal by government. Tell us more.
Look, Marcel, just turn it into a day and see if it can even buy you even a loaf of bread. So the 350 cannot even buy a specific loaf of bread which you need, right? Now, let's talk about the food basket and what you need in your food basket in order to achieve food security. So this is in itself problematic, right? I mean, now there's this 370, by the way, which is also, if you look at the real in per capita terms, it's actually a decrease and actually an insult to the working class. And as we have been saying that we need a basic income grant that is above the poverty line. And this is what government needs to implement, a permanent basic income grant for the unemployed and precarious workers.
Now, you know, Siyabulela, this SRD grant didn't exist prior to the pandemic. Government could turn around and say, look, we have done something and something is better than nothing, even though it is quite little.
Look, let's go back first to understand why there was a need for this social relief grant. It was because people were losing work. People were taken off work. And already we were sitting with a high crisis of unemployment, by the way, a mass unemployment in the world and amongst emerging economies. And government needed to respond. And this was a time for and this SRD was an idea that could relieve the working class. And to meet this, and this must be read, by the way, with the July 2021 unrest, okay, that we've seen in Durban and Gauteng, and what had happened when this SRD was stopped, okay? So this shows you that this is much needed. But does it speak to the question of addressing the question of hunger? Does it speak to the question of addressing the crisis of, because as we speak, I mean, there was a report, I think last year, that youth spend about 3,000 just to look for work. To look for work, they spend about 3,000. So shouldn't a basic income grant or shouldn't an SRD be speaking to this?
Yeah.
And this is the point that we talk about, that we actually need a permanent basic income grant that would speak to the basket and the needs that the working class unemployed need to meet their basic services.
I mean, I don't think anyone can argue, Siyabulela, that 350 Rand is nowhere near enough to get anyone through a month. But you've also said that there are barriers in this SRD grants. What are those barriers that you speak of?
Look, I think the case IEJ has made, it's quite clear. One, if you had money, let's say, your mother had sent you money into your account and you received money, or your friend, you borrowed money from your friend, and there's a trace that you received this amount of money into your account, then, of course, you are excluded from receiving this grant.